of like, you know, they're not gonna sue us. We know that there's a line that won't get crossed because they don't have the money or they don't have the clout.
How about where'd Bo Diddley get the beat from? Hand jive, hand jive, right? It's a New Orleans like.
But he takes it and puts it on guitar, and it's like he makes it uniquely his own.
Yeah. But see, you can't copyright a rhythm. B, the fact that you play it on one instrument versus another. Like these are all.
I'm sure that's the argument that was made at the time.
No one made an argument because people didn't just sue somebody for that.
I know. I'm just saying hypothetically there might have been
like YouTube, right? YouTube should not exist, right? It is just completely flagrant, right? So,
I'm just saying, hypothetically, there could have been a thing of like, those guys got that's my song, my thing. And a lawyer probably just said to him what you just said. And it's just like, well, you know,
but I understand John's point. Like George Thorogood thoroughly rips off, you know, Bo Diddley.
Yeah, and makes no bones.
But it's not Bo Diddley.
And then puts Bo Diddley in a video and then probably sold a lot more Bo Diddley video, you know.
Agreed.
Like people knew who he was, you know.
Agreed. Worked it.
Like we don't. How many people know who Escarita is? And Escarita is who Little Richard, like based his entire look.
I think you're right. And when you said, you know, where did Bo Diddley get that beat? You're like, right. Where did he get that beat? You know, and so right. Where is that line? Except for there is a line. Well, no, you have to acknowledge that, like, you know, there is a line,
and is it right? And then there's because all the time there are, and I see it like almost several times a month. So and so has ripped me off, and I'm suing, right? And most of the time there is a settlement because it's so much cheaper to go here, dude. Here's your $5,000, just go away, versus the tens of thousands off. And then, but then you have people like Mick Jagger. Mick Jagger would be like, screw you. I'm going to.
Because he's got the bank. He's
also got reputation to lose too, or something like that.
So Don Covey can't bring a lawsuit against him for taking his style. For taking his...
For what? For what? They have to define it a little more.
I know. I'm just doing the counter argument of like he completely takes Don Covey's style and sound. And,
those things that you can't copyright.
Yep.
Like it's right. But because the same time. Well, then how come Don Covey is not world famous leader of the biggest rock and roll band of all time? You know what I mean?
The style is one, like Michael Jackson is clearly doing James Brown in those early things. So, but like it's so cute, you know, that you just like, you know, like
exactly doing covers. Yeah. But so like the Stones famously, I forget what annoying song it was, but also they realized melodically it was Constant Craving by Katie Lang.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Right. And so they're just like, I think Keith Richards mentioned
right, they went right to it.
Go right to it. Either before we want to put this out, we realized what we did here, blah, blah, blah. And we, you know, and they settle it because they have more to lose by you know, not, they probably should have just trashed the damn song, but the, you know, the end of the day, like it became the world though. Whereas, you know, in the like the Tommy James and the Shondells, it's so like, well, guess what, kid? Your name's now Tommy. And, you know, the Shondells or whoever I say the Shondells are.
Right. Yeah, they're getting muscled out of it. Yeah.
And that would be, and Mo Levy would also do the same thing to Ahmet Ertegun. Like he'd be like, don't, you know, Hanky Panky, that is my song. Like don't you touch it, because it literally to a point where like they were fighting over who was going to put out that single. It was breaking out in Pennsylvania, and like Atlantic made them like a ridiculous offer, and they're like, great, we're gonna be on Atlantic Records and blah blah blah. And it's
who
like,
is that, John? Who does Hanky Panky first?
Tommy James and the Shondells.
It is really their version is the definitive version.
It's the definitive version, but I do think they didn't write the song though. They are writing. It is like it is, I guess, technically a cover of another song, but they get a phone call and they're like, it was Ahmet Ertegun. It's like, we're taking back our offer. You're going to Roulette Records with Morris Levy. But I want to be on Atlantic. What do you mean? It's like, no, you're with Morris Levy. And essentially,
He's getting muscled into it.
It was just, I mean, Atlantic Records, and this is obviously early '60s. They're not
before the Zeppelin money comes in.
It's actually even remember before that they have Atco, they have Cream, they have
Stones,
Buffalo Springfield. Before Zeppelin's the first rock band that insists on being on Atlantic. Before that, they weren't on, like, the closest was like the Young Rascals, where they were on the Atlantic. Actually, they might have been on Atco too, but so you, like, that crap would happen all the time, and so you didn't want to get in the way of some of those guys. That's what I was having another conversation with this whole thing about 1971, and 71 is also when the corporations kind of start moving in, and it becomes less about mob money, and it becomes
the corporate lawyers,
right? It becomes right. It becomes a little more, okay, hey, these are cash cows, and we could start making money, and it's wow, when we get 1 in 100, right, we're still making big bucks, and it's a cash business, right? And they were, because the mob was more bootleg 8-tracks or discotheques and jukeboxes, and whereas it became less in the label itself business, that sort of, as it became more above ground and corporation. So
mimics the whole casino process too.
But that's where but then you get that, and that's when people also start suing each other though a lot more, right? Because it's like, it used to be more of a tit for tat game of like, hey, I'm going to let you get away with this one, but I'm getting a little Italian kid, he's going to be on my label. It's like, and it was sort of gentleman settlement, like kind of crap that of, hey, you ripped us off, and and started getting bands with little TMs in the corner, or registered trademark, right? So it eats away some of the fun, So
do we know offhand the guy with Dazed and Confused, what label or anything about his record
the record came out on Tower Records, nothing to do with the records for the Standells were also on Tower. I want to say it was a subsidiary of Capitol, thus the name Tower. So it was kind of like, they would crank it, rather than, a label always would have tons of imprints. Like there was Motown and Gordy and Tamla, and it would be the same company, but they had different imprints. So it didn't look like they were putting out so many records at the same time, right?
Goes back to the Phil Spector style, put a different name on it.
Yeah, well, that was a different artist name, but the label itself, right?
Yeah.
You overfill how many friggin' Motown records am I supposed to buy? Well,
right, yeah.
This is a couple Hamlets for you too. Yeah,
different record label.
Then, okay, I can't take 1501.
So I because my question is like, all right, in the mid '70s when the labels and the industry starts becoming corporate, nobody at the label that he was once at looked at something and said, wait a second, we gotta sue Atlantic Records over this.
No, but see, you're also going back to the wrong copyright.
Yeah.
The copyright had nothing to do with the record. The copyright had to do with the songwriting. So the interesting thing would be who's the publisher, right? And that's the thing, is maybe he never got a publishing deal. He kept it or whatever. That would be more interesting. Like, okay, well, who was and it could have been an indie publisher. Publishing wasn't as centralized, with the big majors back then. So it could have been just like, the same way, you would have there's a lot more of those, of the Alan Klein types around there. Trying to think of some of those. There's a guy that Ray Davies talks about all the time, and he got some of his songs, and he actually got some of the early Who, and he also got Rock Around the Clock. And that was like what built his company. And so it was like, and there's guys who was just like publishing. I mean, even now, a lot of people don't know how publishing works. And so you kind of go, like, imagine if you saw a band down the street and you're just like, hey guys,
that's a great song.
I'll give you $1,000, and I'll own your publishing. You still get your songwriting share, and I'll pay you. I'll go out and collect your money or whatever. But after I make my $1,000 back, we're partners 50-50. And you're like, wow. It's like I could go buy a new guitar.
John, you're a dangerous man.
No,
I know. I'm just saying,
I'm not a dangerous man because I speak the truth. I'm not. Most of the dangerous people I know go out there and go like, "Hey, Tony, I got this great deal for you."
Yeah.
They don't ever tell you what I just told you.
Right. Yeah. and here's a tenth of what I would have told.
But it's not a tenth, but I'm saying, but at the same time, what's the value? It's like if I sell my house today, it's worth $500,000. But if I didn't sell my damn house, it would be worth $1 million too in 10 years, right? Oh, you got ripped off. No, I sold it. My songs are worth $1,000 right now.
Right at this time, exactly.
But in 2 weeks, I could meet Rick Rubin, and Rick Rubin says, "Oh, you should work with famous XY, and you're going to be on a new Red Hot Chili Peppers record." Which, no matter how shitty the song is, it's going to piggyback on. There's going to be enough stupid, curious Red Hot Chili Pepper fans of today that it'll sell a couple 100,000 units, get spun like shit on Spotify, and there'll be a chunk of money, right? And what do you do? Nothing. You right place, right time.
That's what it's all about. All a matter of timing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's not rocket science. It's dumb luck half the time.
Dumb luck, yeah.
My favorite thing was always the drug dealer credit. It was like, technically, you could always make an argument. If you're if you're writing in the studio and you're the pizza boy and you come in and you happen to be like, they're talking about, oh, hey, we just finished this great track we're working on, blah, blah, blah. What do you think of this? Oh, I think it's great. Where's my writing credit? Well, what do you mean, where's your writing credit? I just told you it was great. Now you're going to put it out? No, it's not done yet. Till you copyright it. And so now I'm a big influence on this. I owed him 5% of the song. What do you get out of here? What are you talking? No, someone proved that I wasn't here when you created the song, and you proved that I didn't contribute. Because I'm saying I did.
Where's Peter Grant with his sax handle?
But this is kind of the right. That wouldn't happen. It totally happens now. That was a bit of a problem, and it's still people fight about. Sure, think about the big posses in a recording studio, and you're making like the Chronic or something, and that night, and we'll get this. It's great, man. Yeah, I love when you do that. Oh, that's cool. You kept that in. Where's my credit? That totally happens, right? I brought the really good weed. If I brought shitty weed, you'd never written a song that good. So where's my credit?
Nobody's allowed in the studio when we're in
exactly. There shouldn't be. Writing in the studio is so damn expensive. Go stay in your bedroom, bring your co-writer, and a story.
Amazing. I think that's a good point to wrap it up for tonight. We're an hour and a half in.
You got me started.
Well, I don't know. I mean, this is what the show's about. I'm curious about certain things. I threw something out there, and we debated it. And it's just, we all are fans of music.
That's coming up. Let's see if they can hold up to the battle.
We got some what?
We got some guests coming up.
That's right. Yeah, in the next couple of weeks, and we'll see where our discussion takes per episode. That'll be interesting. But I think today's topic was it's something that
go listen to Blurred Lines.
I will. I mean, I remember at the time I was like, oh yeah, it's totally that Marvin Gaye song.
It reminded you. You'll see. It's tricky like that.
Oh, you're just doing that lawyer razzle dazzle.
No, I'm telling you. I am.
Why didn't those guys just give in initially do the Stones thing and say, yeah, that is a lot like that song. We should reach out to them and get approval.
It happened. The end of the story is they say when it's a hit, right? What if that's the thing? It's like you're.
Do you think it's better to head it off in the beginning and say we were working on this in the studio?
This is a bad example because Pharrell. I mean, actually, Pharrell wasn't. He was big, but he wasn't as a superstar. But he was certainly a big star. But what's the chances of you getting a conversation with the Marvin Gaye estate?
Yeah, but what's his name? Being the son of Alan Thicke and Pharrell Williams,
right? Oh, Alan. So now you're thinking, oh, you know what? Merv Griffin's son. I'm gonna, he
wasn't somebody off the street, and Pharrell Williams was somebody that. I mean, don't you think somebody in that chain would have been like, yeah, that sounds a lot like, but nobody will, And then he made your argument that that's the whole idea. It's inspired by.
Yeah, I think that set a really bad precedent because I think if it's as debatable as it is, it's to me, it's the instant replay rule. It's like, yep, sorry, you need enough evidence to overturn